Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It's James here, I hope you're doing okay. And welcome back to the months of growth, almost. We're so nearly there, it's so exciting. I can smell the growth in the air. So what I wanted to do today was focus on some of the things that I've been too depressed to look at over the past couple of months. These are some of the plants that have suffered, have struggled, and are really just now pulling through. The whole of the winter has been a little bit tricky on them. So I wanted to sort of give them their moment, just to sort of spotlight how wonderful they are, and sort of give them a little well done for managing to get through those tough months. We also do have to remember all the plants that did not survive. There were quite a few. There are a couple of my little Hoya cuttings that you probably saw in my strange midwinter Hoya haul. That definitely didn't do very well. So I lost three of those. I lost three of those, and then I lost a Philodendron squamiferum, the furry stemmed petioled, philodendron, which is beautiful. I left it outside just a tiny bit too long. I thought I could save it, but alas, I couldn't. And what else did I lose? A couple of other things. My Alocasia cuprea is not looking super happy, but generally it has been quite an alright winter. The plants that were in my grow tent, for the most part, didn't struggle too much. There are some here that did, but that's kind of because they were struggling beforehand or because of root rot, etc. I'll kind of go through the reasons why these struggled as I get there, and we will see how they're doing now. None of them are 100% back, so they're all going to look a little bit shoddy. I kind of decided to do this because the other day someone on Instagram was like, oh, your plants all look so amazing, like they look so healthy, and I was like, well, if you actually saw sort of the general collection, it's basically like dead leaves and twigs and stuff that I just pick off when I'm taking pictures of things, or I don't take pictures of the ones that aren't doing so well. So this is kind of a glimpse at the ones that are struggling. Let's get straight into it. So I'm just going to start with this guy. Oh, look how sad that is. This was a beautiful Philodendron Esmeraldense plant, and it grew pretty big. I had given it a moss pole toward the end of the growing season last year, and it had, I would say its biggest leaf was maybe sort of almost twice the size of that, probably a little bit less. And then as the winter hit, it started to stop growing, and I just sort of thought it was struggling with the weather and the light, and then I realized about a month ago that it had in fact gotten root rot. So all of the leaves were kind of just surviving on ambient air moisture, so they all had quite a lot of aerial roots except for this one. For some reason this one doesn't have very much, it was lower down the plant, but the higher nodes all had masses of aerial roots just pulling in moisture from the air, and the roots under the soil were basically completely gone. So what I did was I cut the whole plant up into little pieces, and I've been propagating them. This was one of the last ones that I cut, which is why it's slightly less developed, but they've settled in really, really nicely. I showed you like a leafless node in my last video. It's not a happy plant. They will be happy though, and as spring is hitting, you can see some of those little rootlets are starting to do their growing thing, so it's going to be fine. But I was very sad about this because it was one of my more exciting plant acquisitions of last year. I'll definitely keep a few of them and try and get them big and happy this year. It's kind of an opportunity as well to maybe get some slightly larger leaves, so hopefully starting from slightly bigger, the leaves will get a little bit bigger a little bit sooner, if that makes sense. So there we go, that's number one. This is a struggling little Esmeraldense, but it's going to be fine. All of these plants hopefully are going to be fine. The next one is my Philodendron heterocraspedon, which we've looked at before. It is definitely one of my favourite sort of strap leaf philodendron, alongside the patriciae, which you'll see in a second, and like the bicolour, that kind of long, beautiful strappy leaf. I really want a bicolour, I'm trying. But this one was not a happy plant. So I think it was from the same Polish seller that I bought another plant here from, and I think that they're just plants that he imports and then exports immediately, and I always think that's a little bit dangerous because you never really know what the plant's gone through on its journey. And this one obviously didn't enjoy its journey. The roots were completely rotted, the stem is now rotted, so the actual cutting part of the stem that the plant arrived with is now soft. But the tiny little growth point that it had has finally managed to produce a root and a little shoot. You can see that. So spring is saving us, because I would have been so upset if this plant had died. It's one of my absolute favourites, and I cannot wait until it starts getting big, or just sort of slightly happier. If it gave me like 2 leaves this year, I would still be happy. I'm hoping it's going to give me a few more. But yeah, it's beautiful. Heterocraspedon, it really struggled. Even with the heat mat, it was struggling. And again, just in the last couple of weeks, that little growth point has sort of tripled in size. It was like a hair a little while ago. So I'm really happy with that. Speaking of strap leaves, this is my patriciae. This has been a recurring guest in these videos. It has been such a difficult plant. I don't know why. A lot of other people seem not to struggle with it, but I have really struggled with it. I'm hoping that this year it will do a little bit better. I think it got a little bit of root rot, then it was a little bit root bound, then I don't know, other things happened, and then I broke the top of it, and you can see the very top point of this. There were a couple of nodes there that broke off. One of them is gone, the other one is maybe almost gone, but it's rooting elsewhere. It did basically no growing last year. It gave me 2 leaves, I think, in maybe 4 months of growing season time, because I got it quite early on in the year. It did very, very little. However, I think that this little accident with the nodes has actually done quite a lot of good, and the reason why it's in this video as a sort of recovering invalid is because it has got a new growth point, which it has not had. Well, it's not shown anything for months and months and months. So that little green knob there, can you see it? No, that's probably not the right word. That little green thing right on the stem there, that is a new growth point. So maybe this plant, which is also one of my favourites, it is just stunning, and in its mature form, it's just such an imposing, impressive, wonderful plant. Maybe it will do some good growing this year. It could probably do with a little bit of water. I'm so happy with it. Please do things this year, please, aside from just not dying. Anyway, okay, so we've got a few more plants to go through. This guy is another favourite. All of these are plants I really, really love, which is kind of why it was so distressing that they've been struggling. Oh, look at that leaf. I mean, that is partially just natural leaf loss because it is the older leaf, but it has not been a happy plant throughout the winter. So this is my Anthurium warocXwaterburyanum crossed with warocXwaterburyanum. So it's a hybrid Anthurium. Generally, hybrids, from what I've heard and in my experience, are a little bit easier to grow than the true species. Both of its, well, 2 out of 3 leaves aren't looking fabulous. This one's still looking okay. This one is on its way out, and this one is beautiful. Although it was very stunted growth-wise, it started coming through, and I was expecting it to be a lot larger than the other leaves from the width of the petiole, but it's not. So I think there was a little bit of growth stunting from the weather. And it is in this list because its growth point, again, within the last couple of weeks, has started to split away from the latest leaf, which is the start of something. Who knows how fast that will grow and if anything interesting will happen within the next couple of months, but something is going to happen this year. Hopefully not this plant dying. We'll see. So yeah, that's another one that has struggled and is on its way back into a good space. Right, we've got 3 more to go through. We've got another one from that Polish seller. This I've shown you not too long ago in a video. This is the Philodendron plowmanii. That leaf is kind of okay still. But this leaf is not, the newest leaf. It's got that kind of rotting weirdness all over it. It's just been disintegrating slowly. The growth point here vanished, completely rotted away. All of the aerial roots around the stem, gone, dead, rotted. But again, I think it's just another one of those, I've been shipped for like 2 weeks. I can't deal with this in the cold. So just had a little bit of a panic. But it is coming back because you can see to the side of it there, that little spring growth. And again, that's just in the last week or so. So I am so excited. These plants that kind of, part of me had resigned myself to losing them, I'm not losing. So yay! Plowmanii, gorgeous plant. Definitely going to be one of my favourites, I think, when it starts getting back into its lovely little growing rhythm. Very cool. So there's that one. Then we've got this guy who has been okay for a little while, but at the beginning of winter, everything died. So this is my forgetii, one of my other Anthurium. Definitely one of my favourites. Look at that, it's incredible. Just so velvety, so textured. and that roundness, so the lack of sinus is just something else that makes it special. Yeah, everything above moss. No, this is potted in not just moss, there's other stuff in there. There's some perlite and some coconut bark and some other bits, I think. But yeah, everything died back. And I thought it was going to be gone because everything was slimy and rotted. Even the roots at the surface were kind of rotting away. But then I took it out of the pot and the roots were really, really white and solid. So I just left it at the base of my grow tent and it put through this leaf. And it's been okay for a little while, but I thought it deserved a moment because it has done some wonderful recovery. And I think it's much, much more beautiful than it was before it died back. So I'm completely fine with that. Yeah, forgetii. Really, really nice. Okay, one more in this sad plant club / recovering plant club. This was a beautiful Syngonium variegatum that I got from Eastern Tropicals. And it had some lovely variegation on the leaf that did not survive. Everything rotted. I don't know why. I think it's because I used a moss. I think I mentioned this in another video, but I used a sphagnum moss that I bought on Amazon, which had a lot of pine needles in it. I'm never going to buy that again. I now use sphagnum moss, which is just fabulous. So good. Yeah, it had lots of pine needles and twigs in it, and I don't know whether the pH of the moss was just a little bit off, but it really struggled. So I took it out, replaced it with some nicer moss, and had it in this little Ziploc to give it some time, and the roots are doing all their things. You can see, can you see? Maybe, if we want to focus, there's some fuzzy roots happening there. There's very little variegation now. Unfortunately, the beautiful leaf kind of disappeared, but I'm hoping it is going to be there somewhere in the stem, so perhaps in the spring we'll get a little bit more nice variegated growth. And if not, I'm just glad that it's not dead, because that would have been a shame. So there you go. These are my sad little plants that I wanted to show you. They are all doing super well, which is nice. Everyone's got some growth coming back, which makes life a lot less stressful at this point in the year. Just to finish off, I wanted to show you, I got 2 plants that I wanted to show, but I wasn't going to do a whole plant haul on them because it's literally just 2 of them. Super excited about them. We've got having a little pink moment here. Wait for me to reach over here and grab them. Just a sec. Oh, so much mobility. There we go. So these are 2 little plants that arrived recently. I was going to wait and do a bigger haul at the end of the month, but I decided that I'd just show them to you now because there are quite a few plants coming later on, and it will just end up being like a super long video. So this one is a very highly variegated, a dangerously highly variegated Philodendron strawberry shake, which is the Philodendron Esmeraldense, the red emerald variegated form of that plant. So it's got the amazing red stems, just like beautiful and quite pink where the variegation is running through them, and then this whitey pink variegation is not as pink as I thought it would be. It's got a sort of slight red tip, like the edges of the leaves are pretty red, but otherwise it is pretty green, and I'm a little bit worried about this variegation. You can see that this leaf and this leaf are almost entirely variegated. I've never had a plant before that has suffered, what do people call it? It's the white curse that people call it, when something gets too variegated. So this plant is maybe cursed. We shall see. I'll probably give it a couple more leaves before I do anything like cut it back or propagate it or anything to try and get some more green. But regardless, for now, it's just stunning. Look at that. It's such an amazing little plant. Strawberry shake, beautiful addition to the collection. We'll see what it does. Fingers crossed. And the second one, another pink plant. This is something that I decided I would just have a little go at. I heard some amazing things about it. I'd seen some amazing pictures, and I found one that wasn't overly expensive, so I decided to get it. This is a Syngonium strawberry ice. It is amazing. Can you see that? I'll put a picture of what they can look like up here. Supposedly, occasionally, the leaves get a little bit of variegation on as well, and I think that's where the ice comes from, because it's like the strawberry pinky green color, and then they'll get like chunks of white variegation in them. It's very impressive. I actually love it. Syngonium are getting more and more appealing. Since I got that alba, that yellow variegated one, I'm more and more interested in them. So yeah, there we go. super happy that spring is on its way. It's making all my plants just so much happier, and it's making the outside just a little bit more interesting. I was walking around this morning through the woods near my house, and I was seeing all the bluebells coming up, all the wild garlic. There's loads of different aroids. I don't actually know what most of them are, so I'll probably go around and have a little look and try and work out what aroids are adapted to the climate here, because it's super exciting. And yeah, definitely try and get outside now that it's getting warmer, because plants are just as exciting outside as they are inside. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see updates on these plants, as always, you can go follow me on my Instagram at slugplants. I'll pop it right here. Leave a comment about how your plants did over the winter, because I know that everyone's probably suffered in a similar way to mine, and I hope they're all getting back on track. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon, and I will see you very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.